Hello everyone, in this video let us discuss what setup is needed for Drupal development. In case you want to learn how to develop a website using Drupal, you need a web server, which is the main requirement for developing not just a website in Drupal but for developing any web-based application. And then you also need a database where you will be storing your actual data, and you also need PHP. So these are three main things that are needed for your environment where you can start building a website using Drupal. Now, when it comes to web server, there are different web servers that are supported, but we can start using Apache, which is the most common and popular web server for Drupal. For database, you can use either MySQL or maybe MariaDB, which is quite similar to MySQL, and of course PHP is required anyways. So to learn your Drupal development, when you're starting Drupal for the very first time, you have either an option to install Apache, MySQL, and PHP manually on your local machine, or maybe you can purchase hosting, maybe on various hosting providers like DreamHost or Linode, or maybe you can purchase your hosting on Amazon. But we will focus on hosting when we will be deploying our Drupal website. But of course, there are a few people who directly start deploying Drupal on their hosting and they build their website online. It works fine for a simple website, but in case you want to learn Drupal properly, in case you want to understand how Drupal is organized, how the files are organized internally, and how you can do a proper development, you should always start by setting up a local development environment. So you need to set up a local dev environment where you will be building your Drupal website, and once your site is developed on your local environment, you can then push your changes, or maybe you can deploy that particular website to your hosting. But for learning Drupal, always set up your own local development environment. Now there are again a couple of ways to set up your local development environment, and of course we are talking about three different platforms. So we have Linux, which is of course a very common operating system, and usually most of the web servers are on Linux. And we also have Mac. People use Mac a lot for development, and we also have Windows. So let us understand how we can set up your environment on all the three platforms. So when it comes to Linux, it is quite straightforward in my opinion. You need to follow some instructions online. I'll probably give you the link of those documentation pages where you can find how to set up basically your Apache, your MySQL, and also PHP, which is basically setting up a LAMP environment on your Linux machine. And when it comes to Mac, of course you can install these three things: Apache, MySQL, and PHP on your Mac, because Mac has a shell where you can install your Linux-based applications. But I recommend you to take a look at one package called Mamp, which is a nice and simple way to set up a website and basically to set up the environment on a Mac-based environment. And similarly on Windows, you have XAMPP, and also there is something called as XAMPP, which is again quite similar to XAMPP. So these packages will help you in setting up your Apache, MySQL, and PHP by simply installing their package, and you're ready to go. However, in case you want to go further, you can also use some virtual machines, some virtual environments, and there are some packages or some tools like Vagrant, which I'm sure you must be familiar with. In case you're not, I recommend you to take a look at it, or maybe just read about it. In the beginning, don't really worry too much about Vagrant, or maybe something like Docker. These things are a bit more advanced in the beginning, but to begin your Drupal development journey, or maybe in case you have no previous development environment, I highly recommend you to either install XAMPP or XAMPP. on your Windows, or maybe in case you're using your Mac, you can install Mamp, which is easily available on the internet. You can search for these packages and you'll find the link. And in case you're using Linux already, it is just a matter of installing those applications, PHP, MySQL, and Apache by using maybe your Linux application installer. But once you have these packages installed, or once you have your environment ready, when you go to Drupal.org, you have the option to go to the download and extend section. Here you can see that you can download your Drupal package. It comes in either tar.gz or maybe a zip package that you can install. And of course, we will understand how we can use these packages or these compressed files, and how we can start the development on a local environment. But there is also one more way to set up your Drupal environment very quickly and easily. If you go to this particular website called Pantheon, you can actually set up your free account on Pantheon. And once you set up your free account, you will get one environment that will let you create a Drupal website online without paying any money. They have a free package, or you can say that a free version of their service that will let you build a Drupal website free of cost online. But the thing is that you need to have internet connection, and you need to have a decent quality of internet connection to work online. It works fine, in my opinion. There is nothing wrong with it, but it is always good to set up your own local environment and then understand how we can configure the environment, how we can tweak the settings. And of course, when you have Drupal installed on your local computer, you don't really need internet to work on developing a Drupal website. So these are some of the options that I wanted to discuss today. And if in case you are starting your Drupal journey for the very first time, I highly recommend you to take a look at the documentation. You can see here that there is a section called Getting Started. Here you can find some links like learn how to plan, install, and of course you have the full Drupal 8 or Drupal 7 user guide that you can take a look at. And once you start reading these documentations, you will get a very good idea in case you want to understand from the very basics, or maybe you want to first spend some time understanding the fundamentals of Drupal. So there is this documentation, but I will be making videos about Drupal development. I'll start with the Drupal site building, and I will probably use a Pantheon environment where I will show you how to set up a website on Pantheon, and how we can also download that particular website and host it on a proper hosting. Maybe once you purchase a hosting, you can take a backup of your site that you built on Pantheon and then move it to your own hosting. And we will also set up one environment on our local machine. I will probably give you the understanding of how to set up your Mamp on a Mac. I will also try to create a similar video for setting up the environment on Windows and as well as Linux. I hope this video was useful. Thank you very much.